Hello. Hopefully we're bang on. Let me just sort out my monitoring, which that should be it. Now, this is the inaugural first edition of ARR, or Adam's Retro Rewind, the podcast. So we are going to be doing this once a week. I will sit and I will chat. This is the inaugural episode, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by introducing myself. Let's have a little bit of a story, and then we're going to get into the crux of the podcast, which is episode 1, inflation-adjusted Christmas edition. Because my actual YouTube channel is not going to be released until December, it makes a little bit of sense to have this go live, and we will just chat about lazy Christmas mornings, opening your presents, and what presents you've got. So grab a hot chocolate, grab a drink, get your cereal. This will be released on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m. So I have a drink. We have some Christmas songs playing. I have part of a script, which is a good start. But we'll get into the first episode of the podcast with a little bit about me. My name's Adam. I was born in 1985. That makes me 40, as much as that pains me to say. It makes me 40. I appreciate dad jokes, so if you are going to be listening to some of these videos, podcasts, watching anything else, you will find that I love a dad joke. Do you know what? I've got a dad bod. I haven't got a dad joke. So get yourself comfy. To let you know what's coming up on the channel over time, this is filmed live on Twitch. So if you want to join the podcast and have a little bit of a chat, by all means do. But the video itself will be released over on Adam's Retro Rewind, the YouTube channel. So if you want to join live, you know where it is. Just keep an eye out on the community posts. It'll let you know when I'm going live. But this is Adam's Retro Rewind. I've said that a few times. Hopefully you'll let that one soak in. But here on Adam's Retro Rewind, or R, I quite like R, we will be going through all sorts of things. Toys, games, comic books, anything that's a little bit geeky. Because obviously at this age, we like to reminisce, we like to look back on the world, and we like to think of better times. And better times is when I were a kid. It's as easy as that. Now, I, for one, remember being young, having structure, almost. That life wasn't like it is now, where you can just pick up Netflix, pick up Amazon Prime, pick up Twitch, pick up YouTube, and just start watching something. You had to schedule your life. So after you finished school, once you'd done your homework, it was time to sit and it was time to watch cartoons. On a Saturday morning, you sat, you watched Live and Kicking, you watched all of those SMTV Live. You sat and you watched them. You couldn't watch it on replay, you couldn't watch it on catch up, so we had to sit and we had to watch them. And that was only if the weather wasn't great outside, because if the weather wasn't great, we were outside. Parents kicked you out. You had no choice. But throughout childhood, one thing really, really, really grabbed you, and that was Christmas. Now, as a parent myself, my kids are all a little bit grown up now, so I'm probably living vicariously through this podcast and this channel now. I did used to live through the kids, but now they're getting a little bit older. The Christmas spirit is changing. But vicariously through R, we are going to go over the Christmas toys of 1985 or around there. have a look what they cost back then and how much they cost in inflation. This is just the beginning. I am really open to feedback. So if anyone wants to see any kind of podcast on anything, then please let me know. But before we ramble on far too much, let's get into the crux. I do have a script. It's all ready to go. So I will be reading. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Christmas 1985 Toys. Welcome, friends, to the very first episode of the ARR Podcast. I quite like saying that. Since it's the festive season, and 1985 was the year I was born, I thought it'd be perfect to unwrap some of Christmas' biggest Christmas toy hits from that year, but with a twist. We're going to look at what they would cost today if prices had simply followed inflation since 1985. No collector's premiums, no resale spikes, just straight up inflation equivalents. So get a warm drink, cozy up by the pretend fireplace, and let's dive in. So the first one we're going to start with is Cabbage Patch Kids. Now I have to be careful how I say that. You'll find that I actually wobble a little bit on some of my words, which can be quite interesting. Imagine it's Christmas morning. Under the tree is one of those infamous Cabbage Patch Kids, complete with adoption certificate, name, birthday, magical. In 1985, rough price estimates have it sat between £8 and £12. That's for your just normal common box doll, sold for roughly that in the UK. I will kind of hopefully have UK prices. So if you are UK, that should be where we fall. In 2025, the equivalent, if we were to be in 1985, let's talk flux capacitor. If we were in 1985, today's money, 1985, that would be between 31 and 46 pounds. And would I be able to buy that for my daughter? I'm not 100% sure, if I'm going to be honest. I don't. So if you bought that same doll in 2025 with 1985 value, you'd be handing over about 30 odd pounds at the checkout. Still a mid-range, but far from silly expensive. Transformers G1 action figures. Little soppy story here. So, as you'll see with a lot of the episodes on the channel, I am a massive Turtles fan, so I kind of lost form with the Transformers. I adore the Transformers now. I think they're brilliant. But back then, I was Turtles. When I was young, back in my day, when I was young, I used to spend quite a lot of time with my nonna and granddad. And my nonna bred dogs. She's shown dogs. So my granddad and I used to go along with her to these dog shows. And when we went to the dog shows, we used to sit, have a cup of coffee. Well, my granddad would have a coffee. I'd have like a hot chocolate or something. I was about 6. But we'd sit, we'd chill. And then my granddad had realised that at the side of most dog shows, there used to be like a car boot. So we would go to the car boot and my granddad would buy me a Transformer. Now, I made a minor collection of Transformers back in the probably early 90s. From the ones that you used to roll across the floor to make sparks. Basically, I just picked up whatever was at these jumble sales. But now think of those transforming robots. Autobots versus Decepticons. All Christmas wish dreams in 1980. I love the fact that when you get older, if you're interested in these sort of things, you start to do a little bit of deep diving. And I was really surprised when I found out, and I don't know if you'll know this, a little factoid if you don't. The voice of Optimus Prime is Peter Cullen, which I feel like I'm rocking a bit of Peter Cullen, like mustache going off here, but Peter Cullen is also the voice of Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. So Optimus Prime is Eeyore. Now think of those... I have to remember where I was now. Now think of those transforming robots. Autobots versus Decepticons. We've gone over the Peter Cullen bit. 1985 price range. Smaller figures are £3 to £5. So in 2025's equivalent, that's roughly between 12 and 19 quid. Now that... I'm happy with that. I'd pay that now. Bigger, more complex figures might have been 6 to 8, which today would be about 23 to 31 pound. Now, would I rather pay 31 quid for a Transformer or for a Cabbage Patch? I'm doing the 6 and 7 hands as if I'm some kind of cool kid, but next up is Teddy Ruxpin. Now, I never had one of these. I seen them. They were huge. This one was high-tech toy magic in 1985. A bear that actually talked, with moving eyes and a mouth, playing stories from a cassette inside. So the 1985 price was roughly between 28 and 30 quid, based on US 69.99 pricing adapted for the UK. So it's a rough equivalent. If you were to buy that in 2025, it would be between 110 and 120 quid. Just let that sit for a minute. 110 to 120 quid. Now, I know it was at the apex of technology at home at the time, but wow, that's a serious gift. Like a big treat from Santa or a wow present on Christmas morning. The next one is Masters of the Universe. Now, sad story again. Obviously, I've already told you my first name, Adam. Now, I missed He-Man. I did have He-Man figures and Masters of the Universe figures, and I'm actually really looking forward to the film that's coming out. But my name's Adam. And young 5-6 years old Adam, while most kids were in the bedroom playing with their Action Man or anything else, I was doing what the 90s kids did while trying to go Super Saiyan. I almost believed that I was Prince Adam from Eternia. So I would stand in my bedroom shouting, "I have the power." What I'm going to say is it never worked. It never worked. But 1985 prices per figure were roughly between 2 to 3 quid, which means in inflation it'd roughly be between 8 and 12 today. That's actually not bad. I'd expect that anyway. So if you saw these on a 2025 shelf at 1985 price, they'd be cheap, stocking filler level gifts. Perfect for smaller budgets. And the big thing is, Mattel printed money with He-Man, and then they've redone it and redone it and redone it. So constantly just carried on making bank off of He-Man. Next up is the Rubik's Cube. Now, this has been around for what feels like 1,000 years. I bought my daughter one, I bought my son's one. It's been going around for a lot of years. So it's obviously, you know what a Rubik's Cube is. So I don't even need to go too deep into it. But 1985 price was roughly between 2 to 3 quid. Absolute bargain. bargain for hours of, I wouldn't say pleasure, it was more like I want to rip my hair out and break my fingers. The 2025 equivalent is actually cheaper than what you could probably buy them for now. It's between 8 and 12 quid. Next up was a big one. This was huge. All the kids around me had one of these. Care Bears. Plush, warmth, and Christmas cuddles. Bright, soft, and comforting. Care Bears were the gentle side of an often loud 80s toy season. So, back in 1985, obviously I was born in 1985, so they were around for a couple of years after. I had one of these. I had Lionheart because it was the manliest of the Care Bears. But most people could find a Care Bear that would sort of fall in their interest. The 1985 price for the small or medium was roughly between 2 to 4 quid. So in today's money, roughly about 8 to 15. Probably still not too bad. Following that up with pound puppies, adoptable plush dogs. So if you remember these, my sister had one of these, and she weren't born in the 1980s. If you remember these, they came in them little kennels, and they come with the adoption paper and everything else. 1985 price between 2 to 3 quid, similar to the other soft toys. They were the smallish ones, like little sausage dog size. So that's roughly between 8 to 12 quid again. Nice affordable presents. There was quite a few pocket friendlies. I mean, as a parent now, you go and get 4 pieces of Lego and it costs you arms and legs. Micro Machines is next up. Like 1985, between a quid and 2. And today, 4 and 8. Can you imagine paying 4 and 8 quid for it? That sounds cheap to me. So if you were shopping in 2025 but casting our minds back to 1985, here's what a Christmas wish list would cost. So your small teddies would be £8 to £15. Mid-range toys, so your small action figures, would be 12 to 20 quid. Your big gift would be £110. Well, £110 to £120. That's for like 4 things. I hate being a parent. I hate it. So, that is a quick whiz round. Some of the prices from 1985. Now, in this podcast, moving forward, we will do the deep dives, we'll do a little bit of chill chat, and we'll do a little bit of retro chat. But for now, this very Christmassy version of the ARR Podcast is over. My name's Adam. This has been my Retro Rewind. And if you like it, then follow along. If you don't, let me know in the comments. I am really open to feedback, so I'm trying to test a load of stuff. Let's see what sticks. But for now, finish your hot chocolate, get yourself laid down in front of that fire, and I'll see you on the next one.